I think we did know by the time we filmed Survival, because I remember that very nice purple passage at the end as they walk off into the sunset.
There are worlds out there where the sky's burning, where the sea's asleep and the rivers dream. People made of smoke and cities made of song. Somewhere there's danger, somewhere there's injustice, and somewhere else the tea's getting cold. Come on, Ace, we've got work to do.
And I thought it was perfect, absolutely perfect. So I think we must have known then that it wasn't going back into production the following year.
I wasn't told until afterwards. I'm not sure, really. Can't quite. I thought it was a good speech. I didn't think it was a speech for the end. I thought it was a speech for what's next. You know, that last speech that was suddenly written.
I remember I was rehearsing for Corners, which was a programme that I was presenting. And I remember the phone went in the office, because again, no mobiles. The phone went in the office at the rehearsal rooms, and the assistant floor manager said, Sophie, it's Sylvester on the phone, and he wants to talk to you. I went out there, and he said, are you sitting down? And I said, well, I am now. And he said, John Nathan Turner's just told me that there's going to be no more Doctor Who next season. And I just remember this sort of deflated feeling.
My name's Peter Cregeen, and I'm afraid that in 1989, I was the person who cancelled Doctor Who.
All I was told at the time was that it was going to rest for a year. I was never ever told it was cancelled. And I left the BBC late in 1990, before they'd had the offers for the following year.
Doctor Who had been halted in its tracks by the BBC. No one from the corporation's senior management would confirm that the programme had been cancelled, but at the same time, the BBC's drama department were being coy about what they planned to do with the series.
I mean, I'd seen Star Wars, and I'd seen Close Encounters and E.T., and then I had to watch these cardboard things probably clonking across the floor, trying to scare kids. You know, you just sit and laugh at it. I actually hate sci-fi to begin with, so I'm not a sci-fi fan. But it seemed to me that Doctor Who was caught in a time warp.
The people that don't like Doctor Who in the upper echelons don't like it, full stop, and the people that do like it love it, but are not in a position to do anything about it.
When it was axed, to use the tabloid expression, it was beating Match of the Day and Wogan at the time in the ratings.
Was it really?
You don't care, do you?
No,
Well, these are the viewing figures here. That's roughly what they were. And if you take a sonic screwdriver and reverse the space-time continuum, then actually what happens is that, well, they're not much better, really, are they?
They said they would give an announcement in a few months, and they didn't, and it was a few more months, and they didn't, and we were patient. It's been a year now, and I think they're just hoping we'll go away. And this day of action is to show that we're not going to go away. We don't particularly want to make a nuisance of ourselves, but we still want to show the BBC and the public that there are lots of people out here that cared about the programme.
The reason Doctor Who finished in 1989 was that we had really decided that this wasn't the programme that it had been, and that if it was ever to have any life again in the future, it needed a long rest. Not quite as long a rest as actually turned out to be the case. Michael Grade had actually tried to cancel the programme a few years beforehand when he'd been controller of BBC One.
I cancelled the show.
The fans acted instantly and caused quite an uproar in the press, on television, and made a pop video and so forth. Eventually, Bill Cotton decided to bring it back in after 18 months, but we were chastised for making such a fuss.
So when Jonathan Pyle and I talked about not renewing it the following year, I think initially he was probably quite cautious about it and sort of said to me, well, Michael Grade couldn't do it. However, I felt very strongly that this was a programme that had been a great programme, a programme that could be still invaluable to the BBC. I thought probably it would come back on the air again in 3 or 4 years' time. As it was, it took considerably longer than that.
I don't think it was a good idea. No, not at all. No. No, it's daft. Daft in all sorts of ways. Economically, complete lunacy.
In 1992, a meeting was held at the BBC in which Doctor Who was discussed. At the meeting, a new episode, Dark Dimension, was proposed. It was to be released as a straight-to-video episode to allow for a cheaper production. Peter Green
I was the person who cancelled Doctor Who.
Was to produce it to script, and a few artworks were produced. Designers were brought in from a variety of sources. The story would have featured an alternate timeline in which the Fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, never regenerated, effectively erasing the contributions of the Fifth, Sixth, and Seventh Doctors. The world is out of balance, and time itself is collapsing. The Sixth Doctor was to meet the Ice Warriors, while the Fourth Doctor would confront a Dalek in a Victorian graveyard, Very Tom. And the Fifth Doctor would be thrown into the Cyber Wars, and a new villain called Hawkspur. Brian Blessed, David Bowie, Rick Mayall coined to play the main villain Hawkspur. In 1993, the BBC had £75,000 to produce The Dark Dimension. The BBC were concerned the budget was way too low. Test shooting began. Costumes and sets for the special were being designed. The Pertwee-era variation of the theme tune was decided upon, and a new title sequence concept was drawn up. Kevin Davies was put in charge of realizing the concept of incorporating all 5 Doctors' faces into the old-fashioned, howl around, intro. Fan excitement over The Dark Dimension was short-lived. The board decided to send BBC Enterprises a memo that cancelled The Dark Dimension for financial and logistical reasons. The writer of Dark Dimension set about rewriting his script for a potential Christmas 1993 release. Meanwhile, in America, Siegel said, "I read the script and it was awful. It was really embarrassing, and it was silly, and we were going to march out all of the old Doctors. And it just felt wrong. It was going to muddy the waters and confuse people. Especially as we were so close to delivering our Bible and our script." Siegel requested that BBC Enterprises senior manager Tony Greenwood put a stop to the project, thus putting the final nail in The Dark Dimension's coffin. In its place for the anniversary came the light-hearted Dimensions in Time.
Shame that The Dark Dimensions wasn't got off the ground.
Yes. It was a great shame, really. I mean, that a special wasn't made, because it would have delighted Doctor Who fans all over the world to see us all together, because it's really good fun. To America and met lots and lots of people at conventions there and at PBS stations. Many Americans have come to be interested in Britain through Doctor Who. They were interested in science fiction, and suddenly they watched Doctor Who and they got hooked on that. And now many of them watch all the other British programmes and that come out.
We understand that you're in negotiations with Steven Spielberg for the future of Doctor Who. You may well think that, but I couldn't possibly comment.
5 years after it had effectively finished on the BBC, Doctor Who was still a lucrative franchise. Magazines, books, CDs, conventions, videos and toys were all making money. At around this time, news of the possible return of Doctor Who as an American co-production led to increased optimism.
Because it's under the aegis really of, well, it's American, it's North American. I mean, you know, it's the Beeb overseeing it, but it's been intended that it, you know, breaks the thing in North America proper. And quite what it is at the moment, we don't know. The thing is, at the moment, we're just doing this 2-hour movie, so who knows if the thing does go to series, you know, what it's gonna, I don't know what I'll end up doing, really. You know, it depends on really my, if I got the bottle to, you know, just go with it, you know. Just
you would be very happy if it went to series.
Embrace it. I'm happy as long as I'm happy. I'm happy as long as it's gonna, you know, it's fun and original and everything else, you know. If it suddenly seems like a slog, then I'll cry my eyes out.
We were all looking forward to that big film that was still to come, and that Doctor Who, we really believed, had a future.
So, what effect did the TV movie have on existing products?
Doctor Who magazine always had a very stable core number of readers. When the TV movie came along, there was an initial sort of burst of, you know, excitement, but of course it was on for one night. As far as the public was concerned, it had maybe a week or so of trailers. It was there, it was gone.
Planet Earth, 1999. He's back, and it's about time.
You're trying to tell me that you've come back from the dead.
A new face.
Who are you?
I am the Doctor! In the fight for eternity.
It's not often one has a time load in one's living room, Doctor.
Meets an old master.
I always dress for the occasion.
Paul McGann is Doctor Who. Tonight at 8:30 on BBC One.
You know, I mean, the situation is with this, we're doing a movie, a TV movie, and I mean, putatively it's a pilot, it might go to series, but the fact is that the people that run the series are another department altogether. You know, like you might have at the BBC, you know, the BBC itself, and then you get Worldwide, which is a separate entity, self-funded and everything else. Same here, different people, you know, so who knows? I mean, if it was all under the same roof, then probably they'd know by now, you know, that it was going to go, and things would be a lot clearer. What's going to be happening 12 months from now? I don't know. Who knows? It might not go at all. The chances are dead against it, in fact.
Before 1996, there was a great deal of emphasis placed on the fact that everybody wanted it to come back. Once it hadn't really taken off. I think everyone just relaxed a lot more. It's like, okay, well, the magazine still sells, you know, a large number of copies. People still want to buy books. People still have an interest, but it doesn't matter that it's not on television. So I think that's the difference between the two halves.
It was pretty obvious that Fox weren't continuing on with their options to take up the movie and do a series with it over in the States.
I think the most important thing is that we did keep the flame alive, and we were able to continue to keep the Doctor in the hearts and minds of all of us who never forgot that, you know, we were children and continue to be children at heart, because it's the child inside of all of us that is really what makes you a Doctor Who fan.
I'd like to be remembered for keeping it going rather than finishing it off.
Choice. Stay at home with my mum, my boyfriend, my job, or chuck it all in for danger and monsters and life or death. What do you think?
Doctor Who, Saturday at 7 on BBC One.